Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Your Football Show. It only seems 2 minutes ago that we were doing a video, doesn't it? Because we now have confirmation that Leeds United have tabled bids for both Jaka Bijol and Diarra, Habib Diarra. The YE Post, the Yorkshire Evening Post, the YEP, has confirmed that Leeds United have made bids for both players, which, again, as I've said to you, that notion that we won't get anything done until the 1st of July, etc., we can still get deals in place and maybe make them, confirm them on the 1st, or even maybe the PSR, FFP stuff is that good that we can make them before the 1st of July. So yeah, Nick, you are correct. We'll go through the article. I've just had to pay to subscribe to the YEP, $4.99 a month. So let's get into it, and we'll share what's been said. But bids have been made for Habib Diarra and Jaka Bijol. So let's have a look at what's been said specifically. The Whites want to add a number of players to Daniel Farke's squad to make it more Premier League ready, and both Diarra and Bijol played top-flight football in France and Italy, respectively, last season. Diarra is a box-to-box midfielder, and the YEP understands that reports of a £22 million bid, first report by French outfit L'Equipe, are accurate. The four-cap Senegal international made 30 league appearances for Strasbourg last season as they finished 7th in Ligue 1. Qualifying for the Europa Conference League, Diarra scored 4 and set up 5 in the league. Whilst Leeds are obviously keen to bring him to England, they currently rate a number of other midfield targets are more likely than the 21-year-old. So I don't understand that when we're saying that a bid's gone in. That doesn't make sense if we have other targets ahead of that. Now, folks, yeah, sorry, I locked my computer by accident. So let me just quickly share that again. I don't know, you lost me there for a second. Sorry. What I don't understand, that doesn't make sense to me. This part of the article. 1 second, my mouse is on a mad one now. Whilst Leeds are obviously keen to bring him to England, they currently rate a number of other midfield targets. That doesn't make sense. They've rushed to get this out. Whilst Leeds are obviously keen to bring him to England, they currently rate a number of other midfield targets are more likely than the 21-year-old. Doesn't make sense. I'm assuming they're saying, yes, we've bid for him, but it's not likely that we'll get him, and we have other midfield targets. I probably think they're more likely than the 21-year-old. I think it's meant to say. But at least a bid's gone in, and according to a number of accounts, according to Lockie, for example, as well, this would be a top target for Leeds United to acquire. As for Bijol, the giant centre-back is vastly experienced for his age, and a player the YEP understands Leeds are very hopeful of luring him to the Premier League, which does go against what I've been saying about Milan, Inter, Roma. So yeah, Leeds are hopeful. Still just 26. He has 62 international caps for Slovenia, has a combined 200 appearances in the top flight for his home country, Russia and Italy. Currently playing at Udinese, he started 34 Serie A games last season. The addition of a centre-back will bolster Farke's current options, which include Pascal Struijk, Joe Rodon, Ethan Ampadu and Max Wöber. We know Wöber's going, right? Leeds chairman Parag Marathi admitted at the end of their title-winning seasons that outgoings would be inevitable, as well as incoming recruitment this summer. And though Wöber seems the most likely to depart of the current central defensive options, Struijk represents pure profit from a profit and sustainability point of view. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they know something we don't, but it wouldn't surprise me if Pascal was sold. Diarra has operated as a box-to-box central midfielder throughout his time with the Ligue 1 outfit, including last season as skipper under English coach Liam Rossigna. The Senegalese international also featured in a ball progressing capacity for his country during last weekend's 1-1 draw with the Republic of Ireland, and he's expected to face England in a friendly on Tuesday evening. I think we might have to do a watch along of that. What do we reckon? Oh, I said this all the time, man. Trust me, my man supplies a lot of information to a lot of people. I know this. And he gave it the tick a long while ago, didn't he, before any articles were pronounced. So, interesting. Bijol, meanwhile, is an aggressive, domineering central defender who carries a set-piece threat, which is something we're lacking, and is known to progress the ball with his passing range. The Slovenian international is regarded as one of Serie A and European football's most aerially dominant central defenders. So if we're looking at how we believe the club to be doing their data-led approach, maybe that's one of the remits. We want someone who can head the ball because we have no one. Maybe Joe Rodon got wind that we were looking to head a ball because he scored his first Wales goal, didn't he? Yeah, look, Diarra, obviously the box-to-box 8 that we so crave to play alongside either Tanaka or Ampadu. Bijol, I believe, plays on the right, but someone said to me earlier on in the stream that he plays left of a back three as well for Slovenia, so could slot in alongside Rodon, and you have two very apt, capable centre-backs for the Premier League in Rodon and Bijol. Will they keep Struijk around? Maybe, but if they're looking from a profit perspective, they may also move him on, right? Clubs have been linked on the continent in the past. I don't believe he'll be going to Spurs as been linked previously, but I think, I could see someone in Europe potentially picking him up. That's for sure. Let's just see. Okay, Andrea is going to be joining us in 5 minutes' time as well, so he can give us the down low on Bijol. So that'll be cool to get him in. Yeah, I agree with you, Tyler, for sure. But Andrea's going to join us in 5 minutes, which will be good to see. We need animals. Team full of midgets, not a lot of height. Well, Bijol does offer height, doesn't he? That's for sure. He does offer us that. Let's have a look. Where's the wheel? There we go. Let's just have a look at some of the... While we wait for Andrea, let's just have a look at it. Look, like I said before as well, we are actually starting to see some credible links, and I know a lot of people had sort of like shut themselves off from the window because, 1st of July, etc. But bids have gone in. So you can't tell me that Leeds United aren't prepared to do business now, because if they get accepted, they're going to have to speak to the player. They speak to the player, they've probably already agreed personal terms, so it'll happen quickly. So yeah, right, let's have a look at Jaka Bijol's details. Roughly around about 20 grand a week, less than that, obviously. Touches attacking, look at that. In terms of touches in the attacking penalty area, that shows how dominant he is in the air. So if they are looking from a data perspective, my man's in the top 7% across Europe's top 5 leagues for touches in the attacking penalty area. So that is a dominant centre-back who loves to get his head on the ball. Maybe the comparisons with Harry Maguire are bob on, because my man loves to head as well. And you can see here, look at the aerial Jules one as well. So yeah, definitely. What's this, mate? Yep, just waffle. Who's this? What are you on about? We've had 2 bids gone in, Eric Crackling. Confirmed by the YEP, mate. So I don't know what we're talking about there. So Leeds have bid for players. But yeah, we've got a player there who absolutely loves to head the ball. Maybe we'll revise the Pontus Janssen chant about heading a brick and all that sort of stuff. Robert Huth, yeah. Maybe he'll be like, who's the defender who's at Leicester, but he scored bare goals for Southampton. What's he called? Vestergaard. Do you remember when Vestergaard got like 6 or 7 goals one season? Definitely Kershaw. You got players proven in their respective divisions in terms of Diarra, who's proven in Ligue 1, but 21 and has bags of potential. Jaka Bijol, still 26, proven at Italy and international, and still has time to get into his prime at 26, right? So it is really good to see. No more strikers bullying our centre backs. Exactly, man mountains, the pair of them. Similar stylistically to, or statistically, sorry, to Dan Burn, Yerry Mina. Remember Mina at Everton, of course. Jacob Greaves. So yeah, he's in good company there as well. But you can see just how dominant he is in the air, which is good to see for our centre backs at least, because yeah, we struggle there. We struggle there. Big up Just United as well, mate. I got your email. I'll sort it out, brother. Hope you're doing well. Richard, I believe. Yeah. Joe, you still? Yeah. Of course I do. Listen, Tanganga wasn't someone who was coming in to start. Tanganga's a placeholder. He plays right back and can play centre back. I'm not saying I want him to start, bro. Please don't get it twisted. While we're talking on Jaka Bijol, anyway, let's bring in my main man, Mr. Andrea Russo. Let's remove this. How we doing, brother?
Here we are, man. Good, man. You?
Good. Yeah, I'm all right. You at work?
Past the rain, the thunderstorm on the week, at the weekend.
Yeah. Oh, the rain was so
was pouring down, so yeah.
Yeah, it was brutal, really brutal. How you doing though, bro? Talk to me about Jaka Bijol. Obviously, you'll know him a lot, having you watch Italian football, all the way from Serie C up to A. You know these ballers. So talk to me about Jaka Bijol.
Well, he is a good player because he's shown that he has good capabilities, especially with his technique, his physicality, because he's a beast. It's like a unit, like you say in England. But sorry for the cam, by the way, but first time I use this one at work, it looks like I'm in the ceilings, rosette with Sting ready to drop into the ring.
Look at the t-shirt, bro. Look at the t-shirt, bro. I love the t-shirt.
Yeah, this one too. Jordan red.
Nice.
Unfortunately, they don't have it in stock with blue, but that's the problem. But yeah, Jaka Bijol is good technique. Especially with the long balls to Luca, the number 9 at Udinese. Strong. The only problem for me is the difference of intensity in the Premier League. If I have to choose between who's been the best centre back at Udinese, between the back three, Christensen, not our Christensen, it's another Danish defender, under 21, Thomas Christensen, Bijol, the man in the middle, the stopper, the ball playing defender, and then Solet, who they acquired in January from RB Salzburg. If I have to choose 100% Solet, then Christensen, then Bijol. Solet has legal issues right now in Italy. Otherwise, he would have already been linked to a number of Premier League clubs and top clubs in Italy. But he has some issues off the field. He's been accused of assault, so that's why he's not linked anymore with top clubs. Solet. But yeah, Bijol, like I said, the main issue for me is intensity. He's not fast. If you go and watch some of his clips or even a full game, the problem is that the majority of those are tackles in 1v1 situations or recoveries inside the area. If he has to do like a challenge 1v1 with a Premier League winger or a Premier League attacker, to me, how fast they are, especially when they're attacking behind, I think he will struggle, honestly, because he's not fast. He's like an old school man marking player, If he has to do an individual battle on the ground, an individual challenge, that's your man, because he's strong, he's physical. So like if he has to mark Chris Wood, for example, that's fine. If he has to mark a different type of number 9, he might struggle, especially because he's played in a back three at Udinese. They always played in a back three with him in the middle. He started on the right, then after they acquired Solet, he went to the middle. And that's fine because he's the last line of defense, because the other two, with the ball, they tend to progress, Christensen and Solet. Especially Solet, very similar to Rodon in that sense, he gets forward, ball carrying and all of that. But if they get past one of those two, he's the last line of defense. The only problem is that we don't play in that way. Unless we change the system with a back three like in pre-season. Yeah, we won't, and we know that we won't.
We played it once in pre-season. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah, in Germany. And talking about Germany, Slovenia were at the Euros last summer, and Slovenia plays with a back four. The only problem is that it's a different back four compared to our back four, because we have two typical center backs, a ball playing one, Strauk, and a more physical ball carrying one, though, and that's the main difference with Bijol, Rodon. The problem is that Bogle and Firpo in this case, and we know that he's been linked today with Real Betis too, so I don't think he'll be staying. He's been linked with a number of clubs. Right now, it looks unlikely that it still be at Alan Roll next season. These two are two attacking fullbacks. With Slovenia, he has Karničnik and Janja. And at the Euros, they played with Mlakar on the left wing, going inside. So like Solomon, in that sense, a winger cutting inside, like playing like a second striker. And on the right, they have Stojanovic, who naturally is a right back. So the back four was more blocked, than our back four. So the two fullbacks were not going as much as forward as our fullbacks, at Leeds. So
he's not exposed as much as he would be.
Yeah, exactly that.
Did you say you said he was quite similar to Harry Maguire, right? Is that right?
Yeah, physically he was similar to Maguire. The only difference for me is that, and that's why Maguire plays in the Premier League and played was vital, crucial for England for a number of years, is that his ball carrying is on point, and his tempo, the way he chooses when to do the challenge or not, is on point. The problem with Bijol, I read some comments also on. I went to check on Udinese linked websites, and I saw that the fans were not like strapping, getting their airs out, or desperate, because they said, "Oh, we still have Christensen and we still have Solet."
Okay.
And they said that after Solet signed from RB Salzburg in January, like Bijol suffered that in a certain sense, because he was not the one playing so much with the ball at the back anymore. Because before that they had Christensen on the left, Bijol in the middle, and Giannetti, a former Olympian with Argentina in 2016, and Giannetti was the weak link, So they signed Solet from RB Salzburg in January. Before that, Bijol was the ball playing one, because they had a lot of space. They didn't have much pressure, They weren't pressed as much, because in Italy the tactics are really, you leave to the opposition a lot of space if you're not Atalanta or an attacking-minded side, like for example this season Torino, but mainly Atalanta. All the other clubs, they leave possession to the opposition, then they recover and play on the counter, the majority of them. So it's a different type of football, and that's why I said, same as Nikola Krstovic, the striker link from Lecce, there's players who look really, really good in Serie A, but they might struggle, like Koulibaly when he signed for Chelsea. Remember what he said, the quote that he said, in Italy, you have the time to play the ball, to think first, and then play the ball. When I moved to England, I realized that I had to think and play the ball at the same time. And that's, I think, the difference here, because he has a lot of space and the intensity is very different. Look at us against Norway. We were battered. Why? Because their fitness levels were right here, up here, and our fitness level at the end of the season were here. The intensity and fitness levels in Italy, between Italy and the rest of Europe, are massive. So that's why, he's a good player, but I think he's a Serie A player. For example, if Inter tomorrow say, I want to get out and find a replacement for Acerbi or a backup for Acerbi, 37 years old, that's the player they will look at, because it's very similar in what he will offer to them. But for us, I have some issues right now. I have some doubts, but we've seen Farke working and transforming Pirot. So Farke is a good manager, and he might transform Bijol. The problem is that you cannot teach pace. That's the main difference.
Yeah. One thing that sticks out, obviously, from his stats is his aerial dominance, Andrea.
Yeah.
In both boxes, he seems to win all his aerial duels. He's got, I think he's in the top 7% for touches in the attacking penalty area. So that shows you just how much they're able to find his head. To say he's a centre defender. So if we think Leeds United are going down a data-led approach, etc., they know that's something we lack, right? That's something we lack. Is a decent header of the ball. Okay, Strout, he's good for movement, but his heading's not the best. He's better when it's on the floor. And Rodon, I mean, when he heads the ball, it can go anywhere. So do you think that's one of the key aspects when they're looking at Bijol is, do you know what, this guy's physically dominant and will have to be good from set pieces?
Yeah, absolutely. You're spot on this. I think, especially after what we read about the recent surge of data, they will have certainly look at that. So it's one of the reasons. Because in the air, if you have a tall guy like him and a strong guy like him, in the air the ball is not down. If he jumps, aerial duels, ground duels, in that sense, he's strong. He's a beast, like I said. Especially at the Euros, Slovenia never lost. They lost some penalties against Portugal, I think, in the round of 16 last summer. Because they had like a lot. If you watch a lot of their games back or the highlights, is like him and his CB partner, Vanja Drkuzic. I think now he's playing for Zenit or Crvena Zvezda. I don't remember his club, but yeah, those two were like a more ball playing one, Drkuzic, and the strong one, getting all the balls in the air out of there. So yeah, in that sense, like I said, physically, if you want to quote a physical stat, is up there, absolutely. But yeah, we need to see how if it happens, because I'm sure you mentioned like in the last few days about this link with AC Milan too. Yeah. So yeah, there hasn't been talk about Premier League here in Italy. To be fair, I've seen that there's some tweets, saying that I said that his preference is the Premier League, but that is not the case. He never said that. Even in Italy, he just talked to Di Marzio, not him specifically, but one of the guys that work for him in the national team camp of Slovenia in Luxembourg. And he said, AC Milan linked with me is a huge club. I would really like to make the next big step, the jump, forward in my career. I don't have a preference between AC Milan, Roma, or a Premier League club. So not league specifically, but yeah, in Italy, there's not much talk about that. So honestly, but if the price, I think, might, worn off or get away.
His current market value is 18 million euros. What do you feel that Leeds United should be paying for someone like Bijol?
I won't pay much than 15, to be fair.
Okay.
And I think that valuation might be the reason if the Italian clubs decide not to sign him, honestly.
Yeah.
But
it's always the case where Premier League clubs are able to get these players because of the money that we have comparative to the rest.
Yeah. But I won't spend much more than 50 million euros. If you look at in Italy, like Coppola, who played with against Brighton, Norway, right? Going to Brighton, better than Bijol. Different player, of course, but in perspective, better than Bijol for me. Like there's two players at Parma who finished below the table than Udinese, like Alessandro Circati, Australian international, and Giovanni Leone, 18-year-old. He's going to be for sure the future of the national team. So if you manage to get one of these two before the top clubs arrive, not this summer maybe, but next summer, that will be a good signing under the radar. These two in Italy. There's not many good defenders. The top one for me in Italy, among the one that the Premier League clubs can afford, of course, not the top like Bastoni or not, and that category like Sam Belcoma for Bologna, but he's going to a top club, so there's no way we get him. But yeah, the top one is Belcoma for sure in Italy.
Do you know, like obviously Joe Donohue's reported that the asking price is believed to be 18 to 19 million, not euros, million. Although sources in Italy expect Leeds to go to that figure. Currently, though, Leeds and Udinese are way apart in their valuations, so there's going to be a meeting somewhere of that figure. You're saying we shouldn't be paying nowhere near 18. We want to be looking at about 15.
Yeah, Joe, 15, honestly. And I think that if there's they are apart in the valuations, maybe they offer 15, and Udinese want them to rise to 19, 20. So yeah, let's stick to 15. Okay, he's a good player. We don't know how he will adapt, to the different intensity and level in the Premier League. So let's not spend more than his real value, honestly. Of course, Udinese, as you know, there's another problem for me that the Pozzo family, after more than 30 years, looks like they're finalizing the deal to sell Udinese. and focus solely on Watford. So I think that, especially, okay, the management will still be in place, like the director of football, these figures, but the ultimate person that wants to sign those deals is the owner. And if the owner changes, I think it will be better for a club, if I were working for that club, to wait till the takeover is completed before signing off any operation, honestly. So that's another thing that should be considered in my point of view.
Yeah. Now, we have also been linked to Diarra, mate, in the last couple of hours. That's a £22 million bid. According to the article, according to Graham Smith, Leeds United really like. However, they do believe he's going to be tough to get. We've got other targets. Graham Smith, basically in response to Rossi, ever the negative Rossi, Graham Smith said this, mate. I'll just find it 1 second. Similar to Gus Hamer last summer, they see this as less likely than other gettable targets, which suggests that they do really like Diarra and consider him worth a shot. 22 million bid gone in, Strasbourg captain. Do you know much about him first and foremost? But from everywhere we read, and obviously Lockie spoke on him as well, definitely looks like a player that would be a bit of a coup for Leeds United and would improve us.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a versatile player all around, tends also to go and to, move to the wings to get towards the ball a lot, and dictate the play. So it would be absolutely a top signing for me. Of course, again, here there's the difference that, very young. He had a great season with Strasbourg captain, very young too. But I think there'll be other suitors maybe. And I was thinking about the connection between Chelsea and Strasbourg too. So honestly, if I were Chelsea, for example, Bruco, of course he's owned by Strasbourg, he's not on loan. Maybe if I were them, I would sell. If Chelsea really sees something in him for the future.
Yeah,
we know that the Strasbourg fans are fuming due to the dual ownership. They will sell to Chelsea, and then Chelsea send him out on loan maybe to other clubs. But if that is not the case, and they do not believe in him, Bluco, of course, I think around 20 million is a good price. The player is versatile. The player has pace. He's physical. He is good in battles, and absolutely all around. He's good on the offensive end, and also he has that kind of aura, of a leader on the pitch. If you don't have that type of character, you're not captain of your club at 21, 22 years old. So from what I've seen, that I don't watch French football much, but from what I've seen him, this season he's a player that can move all around, very versatile. There's a couple of similar players. I have one very similar to him. I think the price will be around the same amount. I'm not going to name him because we have the scouting report on Wednesday, so I don't want to spoil that. And I'm going to leave Diarra to Loki. Now they have spoiled his player. He has spoiled the player a few days ago, and now they have spoiled, his player. But my player plays in Belgium. I'm not just going to say that. It's very similar. They're very similar. But, I'm glad that they are looking at that kind of profile, a player who is very physical. He's not a beast, of course, but he can bounce around the attackers. He's the opposition, can play, carry the ball. He has a very good vision, especially from the back, and also a player that moves all around like Tanaka does. Because see how, especially in the heat map, Diarra moves a lot towards the wings to get the ball, especially when the ball is stuck. And we know that for sure. Premier League positions will force even more, like Championship sides did with us this season, the ball to the wingers, to the 1v1s. And sometimes you get stuck, you had Ferper going inside, helping in that, like Hakimi does for PSG, for example. You have the fullback helping in the build-up. In that case, you can be more balanced, and you can have a player, a proper 8 moving all around like him, that goes and gets the ball. And also he's capable not just to pass the ball like Kamara did. He's one capable of breaking through players. If two players are there, he can, sprint in the middle, dribble in the middle, try to break the pressing in a certain sense. He's very versatile in that sense. So name that I like a lot, honestly, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely. The thing is, what you mentioned, Chelsea as well, they've just signed Mamadou Sarr from Strasbourg, a centre-back, French as well. So that's something they do. So if they do like the look of him, they will do that, and that's the way their model works. But having a look at his history, he's come through at Strasbourg, so it would show us like pure profit over in France. So maybe they look to sell him, or sorry, folks. Maybe this alerts other clubs that might come and have a look at him as well. And look, the club have maybe gone, listen, let's try and get him in there. It's quite interesting because obviously we've got bids in, or at least having conversations. So it looks like we might try and get one done ahead of the deadline tomorrow. Maybe you don't know, do you? Maybe that's what they're trying to work on, because it shuts again tomorrow before it opens again on the 16th. So we'll have to wait and see. But Andrea, thanks for joining me on your lunch.
No worries, man. No worries.
Yeah.
We'll see each other again on Wednesday for the big return, you know.
Yeah. I'm going to sign off now anyway, so we'll leave. But if anything else happens between now and this evening, of course, I'll do a video on it. We spoke on an earlier video on Longstaff, Firpo, etc. Firpo's definitely going right. Milan, Lyon, Betis, he's a goner. So we need another left back as well. So watch this space. But scouting report on Wednesday. Probably going to do England versus Senegal tomorrow, so we can have a proper look at Diarra as well, because he'll be playing in that game. So yeah, we shall see you in a bit. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.